This next story is also about putting things together, but it's not a team effort, not a long-term project. This is about somebody who makes something day after day after day, and he's pretty much out there all by himself.
It's like solving a puzzle, because there's things that are happening in the news and things that everybody's talking about. And then you can play off other events, whether it's a movie that's out, or you can relate it to some fictional character. So there's all this stuff sort of in the culture, just sort of like this big soup. And you just pick and choose, and you can sometimes make a little juxtaposition. And when it works, you find the joke that is just perfect for that day. And sometimes they'll have a long shelf life, and it's a great cartoon, you know, years later. And other times it's just a joke that was good that one day.
Post-Dispatch Editorial cartoonist R.J. Matson gets to solve that puzzle 6 days a week. In addition to drawing for the Post, he contributes regularly to Roll Call, a publication that covers Capitol Hill, and the New York Observer, which comes out weekly. That's a lot of deadlines.
So do the ideas just flow, or you hit like lightning?
There are times when I get an idea in the shower or when I'm driving to work. I'll be thinking about a topic and I'll have an idea or two. But usually I have to sort of noodle it out with my pencil. And something I think will work actually doesn't work, but when I'm drawing that, it stimulates another idea. But I'll do 3, 4, 5 of these a day. Usually I hit it good with one of them.
After roughing out his sketches and deciding on a final version of a cartoon, he inks it, scans it into his computer, and adds color.
This is a cartoon I'd actually done for the New York Observer that was selected by Time magazine to be the Cartoon of the Year in 2007. So this is the rough sketch, and then I did a nice line drawing, which is then scanned into the computer. And when I have this in the computer, I separate the black layer from the color, and I can take a paint bucket and drop in colors, start painting in shadows and highlights. This is like very similar to a watercolor technique that I used to use. Just lots of layers until I get all the colors the way I want.
How do you go about capturing what a character like Cheney or Obama, what they look like? How do you figure out how to draw them?
It's hard. It takes time. It's sort of a caricature evolves. A lot of cartoonists will just do a funny drawing of a face and put it on a small body, and I think you got to sort of do a caricature that is more kind of organic, covers the whole body, the way somebody moves. So with Obama, you know, he's kind of loose and casual and kind of languid. So I think I'm always going to draw him tall and thin and maybe limp wrists, making his points like this. And you know, Bush was more a little constrained in how he presented himself. Always had his whole shoulders hunched a little bit, so I drew him that way. And Cheney too. And Cheney was sort of, I just sort of thought of Dr. Strangelove and drew him that way. If you look at the first 5, 10, 20 cartoons I do of any politician, usually I haven't settled on the character yet. I'm searching for it now.
I noticed that over 8 years, Bush kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah. Yeah, and Clinton's nose got bigger and bigger like W.C. Fields.
So where do you think you're going to take Obama?
I can't predict it. I honestly don't know. It almost happens sort of subconsciously. I think he may be, I mean, he's a pretty fussy, tight, meticulous person, and I think that's the direction I'm going to go with him. So kind of he may be evolve into kind of a hectoring school teacher. I'm predicting that the big smile is going to disappear from my caricature of him in the coming years or the coming months, and I'll be doing more of that kind of stern expression, just because the problems he's dealing with are so serious and grim.
You bring your own political perspective to your cartoons, a liberal perspective?
Yeah, a somewhat liberal perspective, but I think it's a lot less liberal than most people would think. People have a right to expect that the cartoonist, especially in a town with only one paper, will make fun of both sides. But if you're the ref, you got to you got to call the plays as you see them on the field, and if one team is fouling, more than the other, you don't call fouls on one team and then call a foul on another team just to keep it balanced. I never saw myself as someone who could sort of lecture to people about how I saw the world. I kind of saw myself more as someone who had to entertain the readers, so less of a pundit and more of kind of a court jester.
And then there's the weekly feature called Punchline, in which Matson draws a cartoon and invites readers to fill in their own captions. In a typical week, he receives between 300 to 500 responses.
Well, when I see the cartoon without the caption, I can never think of anything really very clever.
Well, it's funny you say that. Sometimes I'll do one of these drawings with a caption in mind, and I'm sort of waiting to see how long it takes for someone to come up with a caption I'd thought of. And other times I'll do a drawing and have no clue what the caption would be, and I found in those cases I get a wider range of funnier responses. And so sometimes I'll do a drawing and the caption comes in and it's so perfect, it's like magic. It's really, really, really fun. One example I did, when Joe the plumber, it was announced that he got a recording contract. I did a drawing of him playing at an empty bar on open mic night, on stage playing his guitar, and he's singing. And so that was really kind of wide open. Someone could send in anything. And the winning caption was him singing, "And Don't It Make My Red State Blue," which was perfect and topped anything I could have come up with.
The world of R.J. Matson is a place where art meets politics, and paper and ink, imagination, and a point of view combine to create a picture of the news of the day.
Every now and then I'll do a drawing that I'm just really, really pleased with, and I feel like, hey, I can draw. It's just like, that is very exciting. The kick is it's finding the really good idea. That's the kick. And getting paid to draw, which I've loved to do since I was a kid.